Hi, how's everyone doing? As Gamer Kitty says, I was held on. Welcome. I completely got distracted. My bad. I was typing away over here, coding. Ignore the dog. Try to ignore the dog, maybe. Hope everyone's doing good. Hope the music's not too loud. I hope it's not too bad. Here, I'll turn it down a tiny bit. Is anyone still hanging out here, waiting on me? Anyone hanging out? Am I live? Chat's not moving. Either I'm not live or my chat's broken. Hey, okay, it's moving again. How's it going? Thanks for stopping by. I meant to be here half an hour ago. My bad. I got distracted with coding. But we're here now. I got myself some Sprite. And a very homosexual pizza cup. I don't know. Was it Hippie Day or something? That was not a jab at LGBTQ community. I am part of them. How's everyone doing? Of course, thank you everybody for 1,000 subscribers. It's been amazing these past 7 months. I could not have done this without you guys. I'll be doing more official stuff in actual videos and showing off like a script, a tool, whenever I get that done. Probably in about a month, maybe a couple weeks, we'll see. Chat's going very slow. Okay, now I'm getting some information. I wasn't getting any information about the stream, so I wasn't sure what was going on. Alright, hopefully we're live. I don't know. This is all new, because I'm not at my house, as you can tell. This is not my regular setup. No, I'm not. This is not a new background. This is just how it currently is. I'm watching my sister's dog, who's napping in front of me up here. So that's why I'm here for the week. I'll be back for next week's video, so don't worry. And I have missed the past 2 weeks' videos. That was not me forgetting. That was me just not having the time. I've had a lot of stuff I've done these past 2 weeks, like helping out my sister with her small business, which she's selling after the end of this year, but had to do one last big event for everyone who enjoyed it. I also love dogs. He's a giant. He's a Great Dane German Shepherd mix. Yeah, let me put chat over here so I'm not staring way over there. Yeah. But I helped out with that event. We sold a bunch of good stuff. I left last weekend. I've been here for a week watching the dogs, so haven't had time to do much recording. I wanted to record while I was here, but I was working on projects and everything else in the evening, so I didn't have much time for that. And then, yeah, I have been working, though, on my next scripting video idea. I showed a little teaser for that in the Discord for anyone who's in there and wants to check that out. But I have expanded on it since then. There's more to it than just what I showed in the Discord. So I can't wait to show you guys that, but it's probably going to be like a 2-parter, maybe 3-parter episode, because there's going to be a lot of stuff to cover. And then I'm also going to be doing a video in the future soon that's going to be like very, very basics of using coding and Resolve API, Fusion API, and all the things you can do with that. Like the basic idea of how you can incorporate what you know from Lua into Resolve API. Because I've taught you guys, like, I've shown you guys how to, but I haven't really shown why and the details as to what each thing does. I've shown you guys Lua stuff, I've not shown you guys the details about Resolve stuff. And there's a lot of functions in Resolve to cover, and I won't be covering all of them in a video. I'll just be slowly showing them to you over time and then giving you the resources to find out everything else yourself. But next week is just going to be a more advanced scripting tutorial with more UI stuff that we're going to show off. Lots of cool stuff you get to do with the UIs. Pretty cool. And then soon, this is the 4,000 subscribers. I am going to be doing that thousand subscriber special. It's going to be a video mixed with a release of a product. Free, don't worry. It's not going to be like I'm going to sell it. This is a gift to you guys for helping me out. But it's not a tool. I don't want to call it a tool. I'm not going to go over what it actually is, but it's revolutionary for what Resolve can do. I'll put it that way. It's really really cool, and I cannot wait till it's done, and I cannot wait to show it to you guys because it's going to blow your minds, and hopefully get some minds racing as to what you guys can do with the same concept for the future. So I can't wait to give that to you because it's also like, hey, this is new discoveries I've found with the scripting API. Like, it can do a lot of really cool stuff that not many people have really thought about and wanted to really go in that direction with. For, there's various reasons why you wouldn't, but I wanted to, and I started going here, and it's really cool. I cannot wait to show that off to you guys. That 1,000 subscriber special script is on the works. It is just, it's a bigger project, and it's something that I want to like put my heart and soul into, give you guys something really good to actually appreciate, and not feel like I'm just taking advantage of the thousands of people who have come here and been like, hey, this is a channel that I want to stick around because I want to teach you guys, help out you guys, and share with you guys knowledge. And that's the whole goal of this. The music had to get quiet then. Yeah, if there's any questions, I'll be taking those as well. This is not just me just saying things to you. If you want to say anything, ask any questions, I got you. You want a tutorial about how to make fuses? I also would love to learn fuses. That is something I've not learned just yet. But I do know that they have updated stuff in the docs for fuses, so it could be easier to learn. I just haven't put the time into it yet. Right now I'm studying workflow integrations for a project for a client. So that's pretty cool. And there's a lot of really cool stuff you can do with that. So I can't wait to get more into that and explore what all you can do. It uses the same Resolve API that you can get with the regular scripting, but it also gives you the ability to use HTML, CSS, and JavaScript, which has a bunch of really cool, easy to use things. And getting modules for that is also really easy because you package it up in your workflow integration instead of installing it to a separate folder in DaVinci or hoping that the user has it installed if you're using Python, for example. So it's really, really cool, and I cannot wait to get more stuff done with that. I'm probably going to be releasing a couple of scripts myself using this method. I just need to come up with ideas for it. And it's going to be like bigger projects. This is not really a small script kind of thing. Either you use this if you can't do it with regular Fusion UI stuff, or you use it because you want to make something that looks really cool and does a lot of really cool stuff. So that's kind of why I'm leaning into doing that instead of leaning into doing Lua and Python scripting recently. But I'm still doing a bunch of that. So don't worry, you'll get tons of content. I'll be releasing more tools with that in the future. And of course, updates to my tools are coming, but I can't give you a definite of when because there's a lot of stuff going on behind the scenes that I just don't have a lot of time. Like I'm working on these projects, and I'm working on my own 1,000 subscriber special, and I'm working on these videos for you guys, and all that, and also trying to get in contact with other people, trying to do more cool things, and also like collaboration stuff that I've been getting recently. It's becoming a lot to balance. So making time for updates is obviously a struggle. So I'm gonna have to like block out like entire days, or maybe just a few hours in each day just to work on updates so I can make sure that I'm actually getting that stuff out for you guys. Because the marker trimmer needs updated, the YouTube importer needs updated, obviously the new macro creator needs updates. So I have a long list of bug fixes and I feature ideas and a bunch of stuff that I want to implement, but time is always the issue. So it's definitely a problem to jump straight into doing all these updates without the time and without like the energy or effort to like want to do it sometimes, because it's just like, oh, I got to go into this pile of dog crap that I call code, and then trying to decipher what's wrong, and then fix what's wrong, or then add in something that I may break something else down the line. And it's just like, it's always nerve-wracking to go into it because you don't know what you're going to destroy and what you're going to make better when you do stuff. That's always the balance of coding sometimes. Use Notion to make like a to-do list of stuff. Yeah. I have a list of like the bugs, but I need to have, like priorities. I need to be able to set myself like time blocks in a day to make sure I can get this stuff done. Like, trying to do stuff little by little is what I got to do. And I might like jump between scripts. Like, okay, I work a little bit on the new macro creator and then a little bit on marker trimmer and then a little bit on YouTube importer and all these other scripts. So I'm not just like in one script and getting my head wrapped around one, and then I have to go away from that somehow. Work on one script a little bit, figure out what's wrong, fix some stuff. Yeah, do easy stuff first, and then like as I get all that stuff knocked out, I can then move on to the stuff that's going to take me maybe a couple of days to do. Yeah, it helps a lot to work on things you can finish and get off your plate. Yeah, like the stuff you can get off your plate first. Yeah. And then you have just the bigger stuff that then also is daunting to you, and that also is a whole thing. But yeah, it's I'm just complaining about having work that I've made for myself. Some of these things are free, and I'm gonna probably be not updating them in a couple of months, like the YouTube importer. If there is a product that has a free and paid version, I'll be updating both eventually, like over time. But I will, of course, have a date where I'm gonna say, okay, it's either in a good spot or it's at a point where I'm like, I don't really have the energy to add more features into this or bug fix things. Hello, welcome from the Philippines. That's pretty cool. Uh, Jancel, is that how you pronounce it? Is that Americanized still? I always Americanize names. That's always my problem. I see name and I'm like, oh, that looks like plain American English. Probably isn't though. It is okay. Nice. I want to make sure that I get people's names right. So if I do say your name, I'm not just saying some random gibberish coming out of my mouth. Because I'm so bad with names. Like understanding how pronunciations work, my brain shuts down. It's like I don't know. The words go together somehow. The letters are meant to mix, but it's not. It's not in my head working out. What do I do for a living? A living? Nothing right now. My job, though, my day job is a video editor slash fusion expert slash motion graphics expert slash computer expert slash template maker for this editing studio. It's like a little it was just like the three of us when I first joined. It was just me, the boss, and then the guy who was there before me. Who he and the boss were close friends. I was like the outsider who came in. But then we've expanded to like a bigger group, and you know, lots of stuff's going on. No, that is the main job. However, I don't have enough hours for it to be the main job. It's just the stuff in brain. What happened to my sentence? But yeah, like that job is mostly just me waiting for projects and then eventually getting one in maybe a week or two. Honestly, my brain goes dead too easily. But wait, is this Discord message? Yeah, I'm in here, Shark. Are you in here, Shark? I saw your message. Yeah, but then I also do YouTube and I sell stuff for, products and everything. But that doesn't make me enough to like have a living off of it. It makes me quite a bit, to be fair. It's not a bad amount each month, but especially for someone who just got started, but it's obviously not a living yet. I cannot live off of that. I do contract work for creators or anyone else who wants to sell a tool for DaVinci. Like if you want to make a template or sell a script or a tool of some kind, I can build it for you. And it's just a contract job that I do. I've been doing a lot of work with some bigger creators. Like you've seen me work with Orson and Jake Whip and Mr. Justin Edits. And I want to work with Mr. Justin Edits again, but he's I think busy with moving in his family and everything right now. Hey, welcome in, welcome in. No problem. I'm just over here talking about things that we're working on. Yeah, I was here half an hour late. Don't worry. I've only been here for about 15 minutes. Yeah, I got distracted with coding. That's what happens to me most of the time. That's mostly why I miss streams, is I'm coding and then I'm like, ah, crap, I gotta do stuff. Yeah, I was helping out Gamer Katie with a script that helps like find and compare folders. I was not on a podcast. Someone might have talked about me on a podcast for all I know. I don't think I was on one. I don't even know who that second person is. I didn't know Orson was on another podcast. I know he did a podcast himself with Frenchie, the colorist, but I don't know if any of him doing anything else. He and I want to do a podcast eventually and like do a video on that. That'd be fun, especially with SnapPod coming out soon. At least I think soon. I don't actually know his release plan for that. There's a lot working on for that. Then what is this thumbnail about? My thumbnail? My thumbnail for this stream was just all the products I've worked on. And like, hey, there's, you know, over here is Orson, over here is Jake. And then like I worked on snap captions at the very top. And then all the other things are all the things I've worked on and helped out on. Here's one with Orson, but I haven't seen any other. Okay, yeah, I've seen like other creators interview people like Alex and Patrick and stuff. I haven't seen anything with Orson yet. I didn't know that I didn't know he was doing that. He didn't tell me about that. But yeah, I mean, it'd be awesome if I was on a podcast with somebody. I'm supposed to get in touch with a publicist for talking about the new macro creator, but I haven't heard anything back about that. What's the best DaVinci Resolve courses right now? I don't know. I'm sorry, I don't know. I have not taken a DaVinci Resolve course in a while. If you wanted to learn Fusion, Casey does have some good stuff. But there's obviously a bunch of stuff on, like, I'm sure Skillshare has a bunch on there. Is Skillshare what I'm thinking about? I think. Yes, I think Skillshare is the one I'm thinking of that has a bunch of courses for video editing. There's other things like... I can't even think of all of them. Yeah, like go into YouTube and just look up DaVinci Resolve tutorials. Mr. Alex Tech's channel is a gold mine for learning everything about DaVinci from basics to slightly less basic. He doesn't really go into like super advanced stuff. But then also you have like Jason for coloring. Yeah, Skillshare. Oh, you didn't like them on Skillshare? Yeah. It's probably too generalized or something. I don't know. It's just trying to be made for everybody in like really general education. Yeah, Jason's good for audio. You have people like, people like Peach. Casey also has good Fusion stuff. Yeah, there's tons of videos out there on YouTube that are free. Like I would never recommend buying a course because most of that knowledge is going to be found on YouTube anyway. It's just a matter of you having to put it together for you. Like you're having to put the playlists and everything together, while if you buy a course, it's the same knowledge, but just organized and maybe a little bit more direct with how they're presenting it to you. But pretty much everything you see in a course has been set on YouTube. Only stuff you couldn't really see on YouTube that much is probably some scripting information, like for the APIs and connecting to, you know, like AI APIs and stuff. That stuff you maybe not find super easily on YouTube for Resolve specifically, but everything else is like very easy to find. It's just the scripting stuff is like impossible to actually find. Yeah, it also depends on what you're trying to learn too, right? Like we can give you some direct recommendations if you give us like what area you're looking to learn. But if you just want general Resolve knowledge, Mr. Alex Tech on YouTube, amazing channel. He's got a lot of free videos on there to learn. And then there's another guy, I forget his name, but I also know that he does a lot of just like flashy things instead of like actually good color. But no, there's another guy. I forget his name as well. I'm forgetting literally everybody's names for color. I don't know why. I haven't watched their videos in a minute because I haven't done color, like detailed color in a while. Who are they? I'm looking at my subscriptions list. Right, how they posted recently? What song is this, by the way? I don't even know. I just chose a random thing, a random playlist. I know some color stuff, like I know a bunch of CST information, but when it comes to a webcam as bad as this, you don't need... Yeah, Darren! Darren was a colorist that I was trying to think of. Oh yeah, and then we have like detailed Fusion tutorials from like Billy. Uh, some good beginner stuff on Camera Tim as well. I'm just looking at all my subscriptions over here, trying to give you guys good recommendations instead of just talking out of my ass. Creative video tips. He does more general stuff, but he has a lot of good stuff for DaVinci. Colin Kelly is also somebody who's really good. Oh yeah, I could make a channels channel. Yeah, I really should. I have a channel with a bunch of helpful links and documentation for things. Yeah, I could make another channel just for like YouTubers to watch. Something like that. Here we have Darren Moston. Da, da, da. Donna did it's also pretty good, but he's not just a DaVinci creator. He does a lot of like just general video editing stuff and video production. I have seen Editor Lab. I actually have it downloaded. It's really cool. The version I have, I don't know if it's still this way, but the version I have has like a weird bug where it didn't actually ask me to authenticate when I first opened it. And I just was able to enter the app, but then I couldn't download anything because I didn't have the API key or the key that I needed, the license key. So I was like, X, what's going wrong? So I found the button finally and I signed in and it all works good now. And it seems to be really, really good. He said that there's more stuff. Does it automatically update or do we have to download a new version? I haven't looked at his code yet to see how everything works. I'm assuming he connects to an online like database, like a Google Drive or GitHub or something that just stores the files. It updates automatically. Oh, sick. Let me pull it up. I'm trying to find a project that won't give anything away. I have secret projects in here. You guys can't see that yet. Jamie? Yeah, he's really good. Let's go into Fusion. I know you guys can't see anything yet. I'm just pulling it up. So in case it needs to update or something, I don't have you guys waiting on that. Loading in stuff. Is the trending section actually like active? Is that not just like a thing that he chose to put in there and it's just like the static information? There we go, there's my camera. Like, is this actually like realistic to what people are downloading? Because that's actually sick. I have to look into what he's doing for that. But yeah, you just come into here, you first download, like after you've put in your key and everything, it's done, and then you can go into Fusion. Look up, like I guess look up, that's Black Clip. What's the file called? Should it just be halftone? Do I have to restart? Oh, this is a fuse. Maybe I have to restart DaVinci for a fuse. It's static, it's not, it doesn't update. I thought maybe not. Yeah, oh no, do fuses? Yeah, fuses should show up in your tools list. So it should, don't fuses show up in the tools list? I've seen fuses show up, yeah, Xglow shows up in the fuse list. Or in the tools list. Don't I have to... Also, this is a nice little feature. I like that you can bring up images like that. And it just goes to the top left. It's not like it's a huge feature, but it's just cool. It needs to restart? Okay, I thought so. Yeah, fuses are stickier. It's a funny way to put it. But yeah, fuses are sticky. Just like workflow integrations. Workflow integrations, I think, sometimes require restarts. Can you open it, please, DaVinci? If anyone is new and was not here at the beginning of the stream, thank you for 1,000 subscribers. It's been awesome. It's been an amazing 7 months so far, and I cannot wait for another year of amazing growth and a lot of new tools and products to give out. I'm probably going to do a few more free things, but I think anything that I'm going to be releasing in the future, Unless it's going to be like on my GitHub for just open source. It's probably going to be just a paid premium product. Because the free stuff is nice, but it also means there's a lot of workload in terms of, hey, people find issues with it, and then they demand updates for a free update or for a free product. And I'm just like, I don't have the time or energy or effort to do that. I'm sorry. So sometimes it's good to have free stuff, but if it's a script, it's harder to maintain. So let me see. Halftone. Yeah, it did show up after restart. So like it just adds a halftone effect right here. It's got that global in and out. If I just add in some text, give it like a lot of text to work with so I can do a halftone sort of accurately. I don't know how it's going to look. Why are you over there? Give it like here. Yeah, you can kind of see the halftone effect taking place. It's harder to tell because it's on a white text. But if we did like a gradient, we could see it. Yeah, there you go. There's that cool halftone effect. It's just black and white. Just a few settings. You got steps. Oh yeah, for like detail, I guess, sort of. Yeah. Then you have image settings. Oh yeah, just super basic. Don't need much in there. So super cool. And he's got a bunch of stuff like that all throughout Editor's Lab. I definitely recommend checking it out from X Session. Also ignore the thousands of scripts I have. Why do scripts not persist through updates? Well, I don't know what that means. I'm not sure what that means sometimes. Like, that can mean a lot of things. Cartoon update. Did it need updated? Oh, it does. It probably doesn't detect updates. It just, if you have it downloaded, it just says update, just in case there's an update for it. Oh yeah, then all these are fuses that I'm getting right here. I'm guessing all the fuses were made by him, because I know he was looking into making fuses and was making a bunch of them earlier. Like, he was doing some absolutely amazing things with fuses I was seeing. Oh, and then there's something you have to pay for. Does it just bring up a shop link? Yeah, it brings up a nice shop link. How does it install it? Do you have to install it yourself? I don't know how that works. I don't know. I'll look at that later. I'm curious about getting the paid ones. And like how that installing section process works. Sometimes old scripts don't work on newer versions of Resolve just because of an API change. Sometimes Resolve breaks something in the Lua code itself or Python code itself. Like, you said it's hard to keep up with bugs and scripts and stuff like that. So if a plugin is working, why would it not work in a new update? Sometimes there are like small bugs and stuff that just crop up just from me not noticing them and people using them in ways that I didn't expect. And I have like an error handling message for that. And sometimes there are updates that break things. For example, I had to update all my scripts that had an automatic install feature because the way that I used to get the current path of the file changed because they broke the old method somehow, and I still don't know how they did that. But then other cases are like, okay, they've updated the API, either something has gotten no longer usable, or something is just genuinely broken in a new update. Like, we found a function in workflow integrations that's broken for the Resolve API with no explanation. Do they not tell us about said API changes? They do, yeah. But I mean, I still have to update the script for that. They say generally what's new in the actual changelog, but they don't say what function name it is, which is actually what's been annoying me recently, is that the changelogs don't say the function names. So you have to hope the keywords that they chose to put in the changelog are in the description of the function. Otherwise, you're kind of scrolling and hoping for the best. So like typing in subframes does bring up the subframe changes, but you have to like really look for it. And if you don't know about search feature, I don't know why you wouldn't if you're working with all this stuff. But yeah, it's just my pet peeve that they don't actually put like the name of the function in the changelog. It's just that small thing that I'm just like, why don't you? Also, if you Find something that is broken that isn't your fault or a script's fault. Do you report it to the forum so they know it's broken? Yeah, if you find something that's definitely not your fault or like your code's fault, and you know that it's something that Resolve has broken, you are able to give it up, like present it to the forum. That's a way you can do it. They probably don't want this emailed too often, but there's also an email you can email that's just a developer at blackmagicdesign.com. And you can talk to the developers like directly that way about something wrong with the API. And then they're able to maybe change it and fix it for a future update. They can even, you know, send you test information to like see, hey, is this, test thing working? Something like that. But it also could not, the forum may not be the most direct way to do it. If you do have an issue that you know for a fact is not your fault, and I would recommend extensive testing for this so you don't make yourself look like a fool, like definitely bring it up to the developers directly, and definitely use the email developer at blackmagicdesign.com, because they will respond eventually. They're just really busy and they don't always have the time to get back to you, so it may take a while. So just keep that in mind. They are busy people because they are trying to work on Resolve at the same time, right? But it is, I think, the same sort of people who do get back to you from the forum, but it's just a different way because they probably get less emails than they do messages on the forum. So don't spam them, don't clog up the inbox, but if you do have an issue that you know isn't your fault, for the API, I would say specifically, do bring it up to them. It's good. It's better for them to know than to not know. I'm hearing noises. I'm maybe being too loud. But yeah, there's just various things that could change between updates that, nobody could predict. Especially if they don't even update the API and yet something has weirdly broken. They couldn't have predicted that. Like, they definitely weren't testing for that when they were testing Resolve for the update. They were just testing it to see if their, like, new feature didn't break anything drastically with the rest of Resolve. And the API is usually like an afterthought after the updates are actually out. Because it's just like, why would you need to worry about that as much if it doesn't stop the user from actually experiencing the product? It will stop some people from experiencing their product, but it's not necessarily on the forefront of their minds. And it doesn't have to be. Any other questions, comments, concerns? I would give you guys a sneak peek at the 1,000 subscriber special script, but am I still looking at this? I am still looking at my screen. There's nothing secret on there. I was just looking at Editor's Lab. So I would give you guys a sneak peek at the script I'm working on for my 1,000 subscriber special, but if I showed it to you, you would know what it is. Because it's kind of hard to give just teasers for it. I did give a small teaser on the Discord, which was just a little tiny screenshot of part of it. So some people are, getting some theories going for it. But I won't go into what it is. I won't show off it, because if I show it off, it'll be very obvious what it is. It's pretty cool. And there's no spoilers. If you have an idea of what it could be, I don't want you to spoil anything for anybody. Because I may have shared it with some people, but I won't go into who, because I don't want you guys harassing them. But it is going to be very cool, and I'm very excited to get it out to you guys. Besides that, though, I'm working on, 2 projects for clients right now. One is close to being released. Probably next week, you guys are going to see the release of that one. And then the other one may take a couple of months, because that one's a bigger one that's going to be a lot of work. It's a lot of rewriting certain codes and re-implementing things in different ways to make things work how we want it to work, but it wasn't designed to work that way, by the person who wrote it originally. It's fun stuff, but I won't go into. that stuff you'll have to find out when it comes out too. Because that one's also going to be a very, very crazy, kooky, cruel thing that I cannot wait to show you. Because it's pretty big. It's pretty big for the Resolve community. I cannot wait to get that out. I'm working on a lot of really cool stuff. And I'm excited to work on this stuff and actually show it to you. But I can't talk about it. All this is hush-hush. Everything I'm working on is secret and quiet. It's pretty cool, though. I can talk about what I just made for GamerKitty, though, if you guys want to learn about what that was. It was a script that checks two folders and compares the files inside of them. So if I drag it in and show you guys the screen, I can choose any of my folders, and I'm going to choose a project folder that I worked on for the tools to get video. I'll choose this folder. This is my videos folder, for example. I select it. It gives me another second folder option. I choose the proxy folder, and I'm comparing the folder names. What is happening here? It didn't bring up the UI for some reason, but I changed something in it and I broke something apparently. But you can see it shows you the contents of the first folder. It shows you the contents of the contents of the second folder, then the contents of the first folder, and then it shows you what's not in the second folder that was in the first folder. That's what it does. And then it can also show you duplicates, but the UI I broke before going on stream because I was going to change something, but then didn't get the chance to. But yeah, that's what I made, because it's designed for checking for proxies. If you have a lot of proxies that you're generating for a project, you can compare the two folders and be like, okay, what's in the regular video folder, but that's not in the proxy folder yet. So you can see what's maybe gone wrong there. Or if you're transferring files, this would be a good way to see if something's not transferred and see the exact file name. And if you have duplicates of files, it also tells you that, because for example, if you're trying to make proxies and you have duplicate file names inside of your first folder, you know, your main video folder, it's not going to make the proxies correctly because it's just trying to change that name, then .mov, for example. And if there's more than one file in there with that same name, but then something else, it's going to try to put all those names on the same .mov. So it's going to start corrupting files in there. So it tells you information about that too. So if you have duplicate names, you'll know which ones you need to fix. Just a cool little thing I thought would be awesome to make. I mean, it was all like GamerKitty's idea. They were trying to make a script using ChatGPT and Python. And I'm like, I can do this really easily with Lua and Resolve. It's not too bad. So I just threw something together earlier today. And this is what made me late. So that's what you can blame on making me late today. Definitely not just me forgetting that the time was 3 o'clock and not 4 o'clock. I thought it for sure was 4, not 5, or not 3. What are time? What's time? I don't know. Am I still getting chat? Or has no one just spoken in a while? This is the issue I've had before, is that the chat box breaks sometimes. Maybe I should just bring up the stream. Maybe that's going to be more beneficial. Okay, I am still getting chat over here. I don't know why it wasn't showing me chat. Or maybe it was and I just wasn't getting anything through. I don't know. Doesn't matter. Hello, everybody. Is the delay just really, really bad? Because that took you guys a while to actually respond to that comment. Welcome, everybody. Hello. Welcome, welcome. I wonder if it just is a really bad delay. And that's just why I'm not seeing anybody. Or maybe you guys are just so intent on hearing me talk. Oh no, it doesn't seem too delayed. Okay, you guys are just busy hearing me talk in the background like a podcast. If I did a podcast, I don't know what I'd talk about though. Because I mean, the streams are just me talking about like what's going on next for the channel. I would have to have a co-host for a podcast. Because I would have to like bounce conversations off of them. I could not have a conversation just with myself for hours. What do I think about that script? Is that... That's the one that needs its own like Resolve install, right? And that's not just one script, right? That's like a bunch of different things combined. Yeah, I was able to get it to work. I don't know where that file even went, actually. I have the files somewhere on my hard drive. I don't know where they are though. I haven't opened it up in a while. But I mean, I didn't even know about that script like until I started making the new macro creator. And then someone was like, hey, it's, like, hey, can you make this compatible with the stuff in this script? And I'm like, I can try. I couldn't because they're using JSON because they hate me. Oh, that was you who wanted it to work for that? Yeah, I couldn't get it to work because they were using JSON. And I couldn't figure out where they were storing the information for the script. Or for the macro, I mean. So I was just like, I don't know where they're even storing this stuff. And it was a bunch of different files of Python code, and I'm just like, this is too confusing. I'm not going to try to break down how they're doing it. I'm just going to make my own thing. And I had to go that route just because JSON is a pain in the butt to deal with because it's not formatted like a table like Lua wants. So I'd have to like make a function that would convert the JSON into a Lua table, which actually it wouldn't be too bad, but I'm still at the problem of just like, where is the other information for this macro? Because the file you sent me just showed me like basic information. I'm just like, where's the macro part of the macro? So yeah, I just went ahead and went with a save save file type of just like putting the macro into a different file, like, and just calling it a different extension. That's how I save it things. JSON should have created a file or pointing to a server. Well, JSON is just a file type to save, yeah. But I couldn't figure out in the JSON file where it was getting the actual macro information, because the JSON file I think just said like basic information about the macro and not the actual macro contents. It was just some information that you would reload into the app, and it would just know where things are. And I'm like, where does it store that information internally? How does it know? Yeah, it's definitely storing it somewhere else, but I couldn't decipher that code because I'm sure it was like what's pretty simple. Just installing it? Yeah, it's not too hard to install. I just don't want to bring it up right now. I don't know what it's pretty simple means. It seems very vague. The JSON? I mean, like the file itself is simple, but does it tell you where the file is saved, like the original macro is saved? I actually do not know what givim is. Is that even how you say that? I don't even know what that is. I have not looked into that before. Never heard the term either. Oh, you're explaining, give you some time? Ah, okay. My brain should have connected that was meant to be one word. It looked like a term for like a software or something. I don't even know. Yeah, I mean, if you drop the JSON into the Discord, I might be able to figure it out. Because when I was first doing the new macro creator, I was still kind of new to scripting and I was still trying to figure everything out. So at that time, I was probably looking at that file and being like, what the fuck is this? And just not able to decipher what and where things are pointing to. Plus, I didn't want to have to make an entire other function that would check for a macro or check for a JSON, because that would just take extra time for loading in a macro. And the way I have it loading into macros right now is pretty fast and smart. But if the JSON saving method is alright, then maybe. But at the same time, I don't know if I can access wherever he has stored that information. How long did it take to make the new macro creator? Technically, working time about 2 months, but 4 months because I took a 2-month break just because I burned myself out. And then I took like another month after because I also burnt myself out. But it took me about 2 months, and it's still a work in progress because there's still a lot of things to add, features to fix, bugs to crush. But yeah, it took me 2 months, maybe a little bit less, maybe a little bit more, but it was like every day I was working on this from like morning to night, just trying to get it done. Because I also gave myself a deadline that second month, and I was just like, okay, I have to get it done by this time. People are wanting it done. I want it done. I have to get this thing out. It's really cool. And it also means that I have more input as to what's going wrong. So I don't have to try to figure it out on my own. I have some extra input as to like, hey, this is broken. And that helps me figure out, okay, this is what I have to fix. Because when you're coding something, your brain can be like really one directional. So you can be like, okay, I can code this straightforward, and I cannot think of any other workflow method that could possibly break this. But there definitely are workflow methods that could break what you just made. And it's kind of that situation where I'm just like, oh yeah, this works logically in my head, ignoring the thousands of other ways people could use this that could break it. And there's like no error handling to stop them from doing that. So I'm just like, oh, that I didn't expect. I gotta go fix that now. I and that just gets added to the list of stuff. Hope the music's not too loud, or hope the music's not too distracting. I don't even know what songs are playing. I've been told many bugs I did not expect. Used to working as a video editor, working on scripting. I video edit sometimes. I edit my own stuff, obviously, but I do edit some smaller videos for the company I work for. But I mostly do the fusion effects and making templates and stuff that they will reuse for larger clients. But in terms of video editing, nothing serious. I don't go out and shoot videos. There is a project, I think, down the line, maybe next month, or maybe yeah, I think maybe next month, that I'll probably be going to. That's like me helping record restoring a bridge. Some blacksmith that I talked to at this event that I actually was at this past weekend for my sister. He got a video from me last year because I was doing free videos last year. The newest version is 1.0.3. It isn't. There's no update log for that yet because I'm still in the process of like trying to make more updates for that. I've not updated anything in a while. I am very busy and don't have the time for updates like that. So I'll be working on that stuff shortly. I don't have a time frame for when updates will be out for that though. I have a lot of updates to get to, and not a lot of time to do them. I'm trying to figure out ways to schedule my time better. But I do have a project, video project that I'm working on in a few months. I have nothing that I have no videos or anything yet. But last year I made a free video for him because last year I was like, I'm gonna be a videographer, and I'm gonna contract myself as only doing video stuff, and I'm gonna teach people about video stuff in DaVinci Resolve, and maybe some VFX, and maybe some motion graphics. And then I learned scripting, and then that entire plan went south. And now I am focused on scripting, coding, and contracting myself for that. And I don't do a whole lot of video stuff anymore. I have a little phone gimbal that I got that helps, it tracks people's faces and stuff. It's really, really cool, but I don't have much use for it. I'm going to use it for some things, and I'm definitely going to have projects in the future that I'm going to want for that. But it's a phone gimbal. It's not great. So I'm going to want to actually upgrade to an actual camera and actual other gimbal at some point. When did I learn scripting, or when did I start learning scripting? So Anim Utility, or Flow Anim, as it may be called now, or Flow Utility, something like that. That was my first big script. I had made small games before it, but I only learned scripting maybe, I want to say maybe a week and a half, 2 weeks before I started working on that. I don't know who I don't know who that was. Anim Utility is my tool that I made. I started working on that like maybe a couple weeks after I started learning scripting, and I learned Lua in a weekend. Just watching one video, I learned Lua off of that, and then I learned a couple of other skills from watching other videos. That following like half of a week to a week, making games, testing ideas, like learning Lua as a hands-on experience. And I used like Love 2D to make some games. I made Pong with an AI. the AI was crap and I couldn't get the, math trajectory to work because Pythagorean theorem, I didn't want to have to deal with that. But then after I learned that within like a week or week and a half, and I did flow utility or in utility. And then I moved on to just various other small things. And then I eventually was talking to Orson, and he gave me the idea for the new macro creator, and that's how that got born. Because he was like, well, what infusion do people like really, really want? And I'm like, the macro creator is kind of shit right now. And he's like, you should try to make that. And I did not think I could, and I still don't think I did a great job, but it is, I think, faster and better than just coding it yourself and also trying to use the macro creator, macro fisto infusion. Because, you have a lot more of hands-on and a lot more features you can actually do by yourself without having to go into the code and trying to learn all that stuff. Also, that file issue, I think it was you who sent me that email about like the dot settings files having that slash in the name. That's because of an oversight. Like that gets removed on Windows, but I didn't think about it for Mac. Just even for menu ordering and adding images, yeah. Like being able to reorder stuff instead of having to select your nodes in a specific order and then just rearrange them later on in the code. That's really annoying to do by yourself manually. And then adding images is just as easy as selecting the file on your computer. It'll base 64 it, and then slap it in there like a header image or in your controls. It's so handy, and it's so nice. But it feels like there's so many problems with it that it feels like it's worse to me. But that's just my own inner hatred of myself. That's my projection coming through. Because I know it's not a bad tool. I just am like, I'm such a bad coder. It's terrible, but it's not that bad. It's pretty good. People have been enjoying it. I do get more people saying that it's great than people saying like, hey, this is crap. Why'd I buy this? In fact, I've heard nobody say that, to be fair. I've heard nobody say like, hey, I want a refund. People are happy with their purchase. There may be issues and they understand that. This is a very experimental software, but yeah, people have not told me that they want a refund or anything like that. That's been very happy to hear. Oh, you explained it in Discord? Okay. For the JSON file? Okay, let me see this. So first it looks for the node's name, or the node names. It doesn't store... sorry, I was looking at Peach's response to Mech in the chat there. It doesn't store the node itself, right? It just points to what it's gonna, or what will be displayed in the macro. So if it doesn't have all the necessary nodes, what about the controls and everything? That are in the JSON, it causes a problem. Okay. So to pack the macro, you need to select all the nodes and then hit create and it will finalize it. One of the perks of the method is you can pack a macro halfway and then just save the JSON, and then when you're ready to rework the same macro again, it's quite flexible. I mean, you can still do that with the new macro creator. Like you can be halfway through making your macro, save out a save file, and then it'll do all that other stuff. What's this? Oh, okay. I got a notification. I was curious about that. But yeah, like you can still kind of do that with the new macro creator. The new macro creator actually stores the actual macro itself, so it has the nodes. It does check to see if you have the nodes first, and if you don't, it adds them. So it's sort of the same idea, but then I have the nodes inside the file, and then you're able to like add it back in later if you want to keep reworking it. And then it adds in your controls and everything to the preview, so it's easy to edit those. I think my method is just more clever because I don't have to have a function to read a .setting file and then also a .json file, because it's just like, hey, everything's in this one file and you're good to go. But maybe it could also be good because if it's looking for like, I mean, no, it's probably not looking for like an exported node. It's probably just looking for the node tree, not the actual macro name, right? Yeah. Like it needs to have a way to store the nodes, because that is an issue for it to not have the nodes inside the macro, inside the like the save file for the macro. I don't know. Maybe it was the best way they could do it for what they were doing it for. I don't know. I've never talked to this person. I also still don't know how to pronounce their name, and I feel bad about that. I have to watch Peach's video because I think Peach says their name. I have to learn it. Once again, going back to my issue with names. We've been going for about an hour. Is there any questions about me, the YouTube channel, what we're working on next? Anything in detail? Anything about updates or bugs or anything like that? Happy to talk with you guys about anything like that near the end here. But just a short one today. I got other stuff I'm working on too. So you've been scripting for a year and a few months? No, the Anim utility only came out maybe, what, like 7 months ago, roughly? So it was only about 7 months is how long I've been learning scripting. Although I've had other coding experience for a few years before that. So like I've done some Python when I was younger. I had a Raspberry Pi, you know, I learned some Python from some books from that. And then I also dabbled in HTML, some CSS, like Minecraft, like data packs. Tried to do Minecraft modding with Java, but I hated Java with every bone in my body, so I avoided it. Its UI is quite simple and function is also limited. Yeah, the script from that person, I still don't know how to say their name. It's good, but it's really basic. It's just like a slightly more advanced version of the new macro, or of the macro creator inside of Fusion already. Basically allows you to just reorder your stuff really easily and select your inputs and outputs really easily. Mine also allows you to like build out the macro as you're there, with, you know, other user controls and other things like that. So it's pretty handy for all that kind of stuff. Do you use a 3D software for your product designs? No. Like the box arts. The box arts are, I forget the website that I used. I may still have the link somewhere. I'll drop it in my Discord, or I'll send it to you personally, Shark. But I just used a website that had box arts. I paid like one time. I got the box art. You could download it as like a Photoshop file or like Illustrator file or anything. And then you just like slap on the designs that way. Or you can do a Casey Ferris method, I think he did a tutorial on this, where you do have a 3D box and you just like UV map it, like your texture onto it, which is definitely a method to do. But this one is just super easy. There's no actual 3D environment going on there. I do know some 3D like Blender stuff, and I also had 3 classes of, right? It does look really, oh yeah, it looks really basic. Yeah, the 3D stuff can look pretty basic because you have to get like the light on it with a shadow that looks kind of good, and it's just like, eh. So finding a website that has this stuff for you makes it way easier, and it looks consistent, it looks all good and everything. So yeah. But I took 3 classes in high school over 3D modeling and 3D animation, so I have some experience with some like professional softwares, but some of the knowledge is kind of just gone. Some of it's still there. Some of it, when I was looking at Blender stuff, was coming back to me, so that was pretty cool, but I haven't touched that stuff in years, and I don't really plan on touching that stuff too much. I do want to make some 3D stuff, but not a lot. The 3D stuff is time-consuming and stressful, and makes me feel like more of a failure, because I'm just like, I can't do it. It looks like garbage. I tried to make a TARDIS from Doctor Who, and it looks like a box, but it's supposed to be a box. It looks like more of a block box than it should be. Yeah. Or like I can't wrap the vertices around it. I can't make it look good. Yeah. It was a pain in my butt. Like I made the donut tutorial. I did the donuts, and I stopped there. I tried making a TARDIS. I did. I maybe should have tried doing something easier first. But yep. That's my experience with 3D modeling. I've also taken like 3 classes for HTML, like website building in college. That was pretty fun. Literally the most fun I ever have had in a class, which maybe should have told me earlier that I should have gone into development and coding. But I also like video editing a lot. Like I like the ability to edit a video, see people's reactions and like everything like that. I was definitely into editing first, I think, and then I got into coding, and they both kind of made a happy middle ground, and that's kind of where I'm at now. I'm making videos for myself, editing stuff still a little bit, but I'm making scripts and tools for a video editing software, which is like a perfect mix of all my interests, except for the nerdy stuff like Doctor Who. That stuff's still a hobby. I haven't jobified that yet. I probably shouldn't though. You shouldn't really jobify your hobbies. Did I lose weight? I don't think I did. Maybe. I don't feel like it. By the way, I have to thank you for the community links section of your server. It has lots of great resources for learning more about descripting. It does. I didn't make all the links for though. I want to clarify. I did not make those links. I should have referenced back who actually did put these links in the original chat, but I went ahead and put them all in this easy to like search for like section, so it's really easy to find everything. But if you have links you find that aren't in this list already, please add them. Here, actually, let me show you guys what's going on, what I'm actually looking at. In the Discord, we have this channel. Here, let me hide that. That's the chat. We have this channel that I just put together yesterday. It used to be this channel with all this random stuff jumbled about, and I was like, I hate this. This is so hard to look through. Ninth Doctor's the best. He's pretty good. I liked Matt. Matt, the 11th Doctor, was pretty good, but also Capaldi as the 12th. His grumpy, him being grumpy was really fun. But we have this channel here, and I just re-put all the links in here. You guys should be able to make posts. Let me know if you can't. But yeah, this is a fantastic place. We have, like, I tried to explain what all these links go to. Like, this is the official, or some API docs. And you can click the link, look through all the stuff. Some of the stuff is kind of repeated information a little bit because a lot of people just post the same information in there. You can post, perfect. Yeah, if you guys have links that aren't in here already, please share them with everybody. People would love to see more links in here. I guarantee it. But yeah, I got stuff for like suggesting features for the API, our very own documents for scripting and macros, amazing stuff by them, wiki writers, me, Peach, Henry, and I think No Name Extracted's also one of the wiki writers, but he hasn't been making anything yet. But that's fine. We are not really in a rush to make this stuff right now. We do want it done, but it doesn't have to be like fast because we're all busy with our own stuff. And I have like prototype scripts in here that I've made, you know, cheat sheets, all sorts of great stuff to look through in here. Definitely check everything out. Highly recommend it. You can find the Discord link if you're not in here already. It is, I think, the very last link of the description. Go ahead and check that out. It may be the last link. I don't remember what it is these days. But it's in the description of this live stream. Go check it out. It's awesome. We have a lot of great developers on there who always talk about like these really smart DaVinci development stuff. We talk about like complaints about the API. We talk about cool stuff about the API we found, stuff like that. The cheat sheets are crazy. There's a lot of them, and they're so good. Like I found a bunch of cheat sheets that just cover a bunch of the Resolve API docs and Fusion API docs a little bit, and then like the Fusion UI docs are really good. Like, dude, check that stuff out. It's awesome. It's amazing stuff to look through. What's wrong with the Macro Creator Light thumbnail? Is it just because it's called light and not light? I spelled light wrong on it. I took the whole morning to see all the expressions. Dude, the expression cheat sheets, there are so many of them. Yeah, well, technically the background for that image is not white. The image is, it's a PNG, so it has transparency. Just for some reason, Fourth Wall is an ass and decided to put white as the background, and I can't change it. So I'm just stuck with that. But yeah, that is an issue. But it is meant to just like stand out as different, not really describe it differently. I should also replace the word from LIGHT to LITE. because that's how I have it spelled somewhere else. Yeah, I could do that. I don't know where the Photoshop file for that is. It's probably in my documents folder. But I also don't have Adobe stuff right now. Because I have it through work only. I don't have it on my own personal account. And I have to keep logging back into it. It's just more of a pain in the butt to do. But yeah, definitely check this stuff out. Am I still showing on the screen? I am. But yeah, it should say LTE or LITE instead of just LIGHT. That is the wrong light, and I didn't realize that until I was already done with making everything. So I'm like, oh, it's good enough for now. Maybe when I update the box art of everything, I'll actually do that. I do plan on updating all the box art, because the box art was just kind of like loosely thrown together by me. And the box art for most of the stuff I sell does not look great. So I'm going to be working on that eventually. But this is, again, part of that to-do list of everything I got to do that's piling up, and I don't have the time to do everything. At least not for a little while. Maybe early next year I can get a bunch of this stuff knocked out. But yeah, you may not see updates for tools until early next year. Depends on how much I can get done in these next few months. Fingers crossed, though. Yeah, if there's any other questions, comments, concerns, bugs, thoughts, insults, please, no. Yeah, I can't think of anything that like you guys would need to know for right now. Like, I'm obviously still working on these things. Thousand subscriber specials coming out soon-ish. Maybe in a month, maybe less. We'll see. And of course, we have the big projects I'm working on, which are coming out. One's coming out next week. You guys should be seeing that. I'll be sharing information about that when that comes out. It's not my tool, it's for a client, so you're not going to see it from my channel. But I will be putting the links in my Discord, so you guys can go look at that stuff. Because it's going to be really cool updates. I'm helping update someone on someone else's script, and it's like a really nice feature that people have been asking for a while. And I'm excited to actually get to show that off, because it's a really cool feature that I've put together. For Windows users, it's a little bit annoying because it flashes the terminal a few times because Windows hates you and wants you to know that you have terminals flashing. You know, when background processes are taking place that can't be done within Lua. It's great. But yeah, is that all for you guys got for me? Oh, you guys got more questions, concerns? Can you explain what workflow integration is? So a workflow integration is a script, essentially, that uses Electron.js. Which is, Electron.js is a JavaScript, I don't know really what to call it. Not really a language, not really a module, not really... It is a dependency, but it essentially allows you to have a standalone app. Like William Justice's tools, like Spark Effects, that is a Electron app. It is separate from Resolve in that case, but you can also have it built into Resolve as a workflow integration. There's pluses and minuses for both. His is easier to hide versus ours is in a pretty easy to find spot in Resolve if you know where you're looking. But it essentially allows you to host a local website, essentially, because it launches HTML in like a Chrome extension. But not in Chrome itself, but like as a Chrome little internal launched app browser thingy-majig. This is all me using very non-technical terms because I'm not a technical learned guy. I learned this stuff by experience, not by studying, which is probably my downfall. But it launches it in like a Chrome system environment kind of place, where you can look at the HTML, it can interact with the CSS and the JavaScript files, and it acts like a regular website would, except you don't have as direct connection to the internet as you may have if you're actually an online service, I think. I don't know for sure about that, because I have not done detailed experience things like that for websites. But you're able to add modules, which is just like dependencies, things that can do things you can't do natively with JavaScript, like sending out an HTTP request. Like sometimes you have to connect to online services that way and stuff like that. And it's basically allows you to do more cool stuff with your UI that you could do with the regular Lua and Python scripting, because you still have access to the basic Resolve AI or API. So the stuff you can get from the README file, you can get in a workflow integration. It may be slightly different syntax because it's JavaScript instead of Python or Lua, but it's the exact same functions. Some of them don't work, I found, and we've talked to the developers about that to hopefully get that fixed soon. And you don't have access to the Fusion API, which is the biggest downside. But there's still a way to connect to it, but you still have to have a studio version of Resolve for that. So that kind of sucks. But other than that, it's not the worst. It's a bit more of a hassle to work with Fusion because you don't have that direct connection. Because you have to connect to the Fusion API via like executing the .exe or the file inside of Resolve's folders, and then push in your script file into that environment. And it's more of a hassle than it's worth. It's a bit of the pain in the ass for that. But besides that, it's really cool for making cool UIs and making cool stuff happen. To put generally speaking. There's more to explain for it, but anything that you can make with the Resolve Fusion UI system is way prettier in the workflow integration system because you have access to more advanced CSS and HTML versus just basic CSS for scripting in Python and Lua. How the AutoCut plugin cuts the timeline, is that using the same mechanism as marker trimmer? AutoCut, that new Resolve plugin that came out? No. If you mean SnapPod, yes. But AutoCut, they export out your timeline, inject things into the timeline through code, and then re-add that timeline. So they don't actually cut things in Resolve. They just export it out, tell the timeline what it wants, like what they need it to do, and then they add it back, which is more complex than it sounds, because the documentation for that, for doing what we want it to do, is non-existent. You have to have experience with this sort of stuff previously, which is an open timeline IO. It's essentially this, but you take that information and use it for Lua or Python, or in this case for them, I think probably they're using an Electron-like app as well, like for JavaScript and stuff. It's a pain, but Resolve does have compatibility with that type of timeline, so it is the easiest way to edit a timeline currently in Resolve, which sucks because it's also complex as shit. And we just want the ability to add a splice on a freaking clip on the timeline. I don't know why that's hard. Maybe there's problems with getting that to work in the API, but it sounds like it'd be as easy as moving your playhead to different locations, because you can get the playhead location and you can append things from the edit page or from the media pool onto the timeline, but you can't cut clips on the timeline with a given time code. But in the code, it looks like it just gets the time code from the playhead and then applies a cut to a clip. Why don't we have that in the API? Why don't we have that small thing in the API? Is it because there's no easy way to connect the two tracks, like audio and video, to cut them at the same time? Like, would that require reworking that part of the API? Or, would we have to cut each audio and video, with two different cut commands, two different cut function calls? I don't know. Either way, this is the things that, like, why isn't this a part of the API? Like, what is causing this not to be here? Is it because it's difficult? Like, the API is not working for that? Like, the code just isn't letting that happen? Or is there something else going on here? Because it looks like that's all you're doing, because we can also do the same sort of cut with a keybind, which sounds like it's just calling to a function to add a cut at the playhead at the playhead position. Why don't we have that? We could even move the playhead position. Why don't we just move the playhead position and then we just call for that same function and it just gets the playhead position on its own instead of us just, putting in a time code. I digress. I won't go more into that. That's just me ranting now about there just being weird things that don't exist in the API that I'm just like, why? Why not? Things that like you can wish would be there, but just aren't. Anyway, rant over. I think that's going to be it, unless there's any other questions you guys got. I guess I should maybe explain. The marker trimmer appends clips from the timeline, or from the media pool, which is the same thing that Autopod does, and the same thing that Snap Captions does. We just take the clip on the timeline, look for that in the media pool, get the data from the media pool item, get the in and out points we want the clip to have, and then apply that to the media pool item, and then append that to the timeline. Long process, but that's essentially it. We have to have in and out points for inside of the clip, and in and out points for like start and end time for the clip on the timeline. And then we also have the data for the clip itself from the media pool. It's a long process for something that could be as simple as a simple function just called cut on this time code. Like we could just do that not on a clip data. We could do that on the timeline data perhaps. And it just does the internal thoughts for you. Okay, what clip are we on? Slice. But I don't know. Once again, back into the rant. But let's back out of that. Back away slowly from the rant. Let's not get too ranty. We don't need to rant about the Resolve API. There's obviously issues with it. There's obviously things that are great about it. And there's obviously things that aren't there for some reason. But they're working on it. It's not the biggest concern of theirs because it's not what really makes them the money. Doesn't really give them a huge reason to put a lot of effort into it because it doesn't drive more users to them or anything like that. Is it possible to make a script to make the audio normalize for YouTube easier? Like will adjust all bus values itself? Well, when you're exporting, there is a normalize audio option when you're exporting your video. You can just have that set as your default. My next video is going to be next week on Friday. It's going to be the next scripting video. It's going to be probably the first part of that scripting two-parter, maybe three-parter. I'll be going over some more advanced UI features. Probably going over just the tree stuff, like the UI tree stuff, because that's probably the most complex. So probably get started with that, break down what we have to use for that, and then in the week after that, I think we're going to take a break before continuing that script and go back to basics and break down, like, back to your favorite term, baby's first script. We might just do that, like baby's first script of just like, what's the basic stuff you can do and stuff like that. A limiter can set a ceiling. Yeah, that's true too. But in Resolve, we cannot actually get dB levels of each audio clip. We would have to send that off to an API and then get the dB levels back as code. I think also FFmpeg or whatever it is. I don't know. That's that external software. I think can also give you the raw data of your audio clip. I'm not sure, but we just can't get that natively in Resolve. Just another thing that's just like, why don't we have some access to these things? Like, I don't know how you'd easily give that to us, to be fair. But it just would be nice to have some access to some of these things. Like even like the transcript information or being able to export subtitles as an SRT would be great. Stuff like that. Like these small things that are just like, why don't we have access to these? Answer is probably just because why should they care? It doesn't bring them many new buyers to their products or anything. So like, it's more of just a small thank you to the community more than it is like a requirement of the actual software. Yes, dog, can I help you? It's not quite food time yet. Like I said earlier, I am dog sitting. I am dog sitting the horse. He's a Great Dane German Shepherd mix. He goes up higher than my waist, and I'm like 5'6" or 5'7". I think. I don't know. I haven't actually looked at my height in a while. He's up and moving. The horse is coming. Do you want to be on camera? Come over here. Come here. Come here. You guys can kind of see him. Don't drink my Sprite. Here, I'll help you guys see him. Ugh. Here's the horse. I think the horse is wanting to go potty, so I'm going to go do that. He's adorable. He's giant. He is so sweet. He's the cutest, nicest dog, but he's also terrible because he's getting so old. So, he's hard to maintain sometimes. But he's feeling left out. He probably has to go potty, so I will be leaving you guys there. And you guys have a great weekend and a great beginning of your week next week. And I will see you guys again on Friday. Or if you're in the Discord, I'll probably be chatting in there all week at some point. But I may go quiet some days because I may just be honing in on working on scripting stuff because I got some projects I'm working on. But I will be going. I will bid you all farewell. Have a great day. Bye. The music stopped again. I don't know why it does that.